Hello and welcome to my kitchen. I'm Judith, and today I'm going to do something that my mother made fairly often, although I am going to change it up a little bit. It's a chicken casserole, and she put beautiful baking powder biscuits on top instead of a crust or whatever else you could have put on top. But when Mom made it, she used a stewing hen and the pressure cooker. Unfortunately, stewing hens are gone. They were available last week. They're not available this week. So I have a nice little fryer. And I am not going to use the pressure cooker because it's not a stewing hen. It doesn't need it. And of course, if you're not used to using a pressure cooker, you kind of want to stay away until you learn how. It may take a few tries before you actually make something that's edible. So let's just go with a regular Dutch oven today. First thing we have to do is cut up our chicken. And since this meal is only for 2 people, and hopefully some leftovers, I am not going to use the whole chicken. I doubt very much it's going to fit in the pot anyway. So let me show you how to cut up a chicken. First thing we need to do to cut up our chicken is remove the legs and wings. And I usually do one side at a time. So you get the leg off here. You just cut into the skin around the top of the thigh. And then pop the joint. And your knife up along the bone and through the joint. There we go. And down through the skin. And you're going to do pretty much the same thing with the wing, except we're not going to pop the joint. We're just going to do that and cut right through it. And there's the wing off. And we do the same thing on the other side, which is a bit trickier unless you're ambidextrous. And Cat wants to play with the chicken too. Chicken, not for kitty. Not tonight. Now to get the wing off, notice I have cut it up above a little bit. So not right where it looks like the wing joins, but just above that. You do get some of the breast meat, but you're not going to hit the joint otherwise. Okay. Then we're just going to cut through here and into the ribs. Then break the back down. There we go. Now, for the rest of the back, we have to go through the ribs. And if you don't have a good sharp knife, you're going to struggle. And then just through the joint there. It's basically the wing joint again, or shoulder joint. Then that off. We don't want that. Oh, maybe the kitty can have that bit. And yes, I do give him raw chicken. I know everybody says you shouldn't, but he likes it, and he's always been fine. So now be careful when you're doing this, because you notice the knife is pointing at me, but you could do it pointing away from you if you feel safer. One way or the other. I do it pointing at me because I'm going to bring it down this way. First thing I do, I'm going to go whack and into the breastbone there, and then down through the top of the sternum, and then I'm going to do pretty much the same thing going the other way. There you go. Now you can skin the chicken if you like. I do like the chicken skin. I think it definitely adds flavor. So now I'm going to take the back and we're going to put that in a Ziploc bag and throw it in the freezer for when next time I want to make stock. For the rest of it, I'm just going to put the wings aside and make sure there's no little feathers. We are going to chop them into smaller pieces because remember I did say that Mom used a stewing hen, and stewing hens are scrawny little old ladies. So this is a nice plump fryer. We're going to cut it up a little smaller. For this, I'm going to use my cleaver because we're going through bones. There we go. And I'm not real good at aim, that's why I try not to whack at it. If I have to hit it twice, I'm not going to hit it in the same place the second time. Well, there we go. And for the legs, we are going to separate the thigh from the leg, the thigh from the drumstick. So again, you want to pop the joint, then you can get your knife between. Much easier. So you just give it a partial cut through down to the bone, pop the joint, and slip the knife between. There we go. So that's our chicken cut up. And now we've got our Dutch oven. Actually, I chose not to use a Dutch oven, but a wide, lower-sided pan. Not sure what to call it. It's not quite a skillet. It's not quite a Dutch oven. It's sort of like a skillet and a Dutch oven had a baby. And it grew up. It's an interesting pan. I'm sure there's a proper name for it, but I don't know what it is. Okay, we're going to heat that up. And then we're going to brown our chicken. Now, honestly, I don't remember if Mom ever browned the chicken. I have a feeling she didn't, because I don't remember any color in this dish when she made it. It was basically a very white chicken stew. But I'm going to brown the chicken to add some flavor. For this, you do want to use an oven-safe pan because it is going to go into the oven once we get our biscuits on top. And we're just going to use some neutral oil. You can use vegetable oil or avocado oil or whatever it is you prefer. If you really want, you could actually use olive oil. And as I said, I am not going to do the whole chicken. So just maybe about half of it, maybe a little more. I'm going to do both drumsticks because the one thing I do remember about my mom, the one thing I do remember very clearly about Mom's stew was the drumsticks in it. Okay. So now we're going to brown that, turn it over, and then we start adding vegetables. So the first side is lovely and brown. Flip your pieces over. And give the other side time to brown. It shouldn't take as long for the second side because we're not trying to cook it all the way through. Just want to get a little color on it. And just remove the chicken from the pan to a plate. Now we're going to add about a cup of onions. So that is 1 yellow onion, fairly coarsely chopped. Swirl it around in the lovely chicken fat and oil. And a cup of celery, cut into chunks. We don't want it finely cut because this is going to stew for a while and they will melt away. And we're going to add a dash of salt. And don't overdo the salt to start with. Always add more, but you can't take it out. We're going to add a bay leaf, a fairly large one. And a good grind of black pepper. And I do prefer freshly ground unless I'm going for something really fine. Now, some dishes you don't want a chunk in there that you might bite into. We'll just stir around. It shouldn't take long for the onion to start to go translucent. I think most of it already is doing so. Then we're going to add some carrots and parsnip. Now, parsnip is optional. Do make sure that they are peeled. Your carrots, mine are fresh out of the garden. They're just brand new baby carrots, so we're not worried about peeling them. Parsnips, really, you could put them in without peeling them, but you want to make sure it's a young parsnip that doesn't have a thick skin. Then we are going to add our potatoes, and I have 1 large russet potato cut into chunks. There we go. I just want to stir these all around, make sure they get nice and coated in all that lovely chicken fat and oil and the seasonings. If you like, you could add some thyme. Maybe some fresh sage. We're going to stick with something fairly simple right now. And then we're going to put our chicken back in on top. Actually kind of nestle it down in between the larger pieces anyways. Get them nestled down in there. Space for you in there. Okay. And if there's any juice from the chicken on the plate, just pour that in, because that's all flavor. And we are going to add water. Just to almost cover the vegetables. Okay. Now we're going to bring that to simmer. You may have to raise the heat a little bit to start with. Cover it. Once it comes to a simmer, we're going to turn it down and we're going to let it cook until the vegetables are tender. This could take anywhere between half an hour and an hour depending on how large you've chopped your vegetables. Okay. For our biscuits, we need all-purpose flour. We want about a cup and a half. Then we want some salt, just a little pinch. about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I want a tablespoon of baking powder. Okay, mix that together. Now we want about 1/2 cup of cold butter. So let me open the butter here. It's kind of like making a pie dough. If you want, you can use a pastry cutter to do this. Cut your butter into pieces. Just, yeah. And toss them in. You want about a 1/2 cup. In small chunks. Just throw them in there. And we will want probably about 2/3 of a cup of milk. So and we're just going to rub our butter into the flour. And if you have warm hands, use a pastry cutter or a fork, 2 forks. And definitely if you got rings on that might catch dough in them or bits in them, take your rings off. So this is basically the same process as making pie dough. Make our butter into little bits mixed into the flour. Just rub it between your hands, rub it between your fingers. Okay, now make a well, and we're going to add our, oops, let me get the fork, add our milk. And you want to add milk all at once if you can. So that is 2/3 of a cup. Well, that's about all we should need, but if we need more, we can add more. But you do want to add most of it right away. Oh yeah, we are going to need more. So that's about another 1/3 of a cup, or just over. Okay, yes, we're looking good. And this is a very wet dough. This is not a biscuit that you're going to roll out. If you prefer the ones that you roll out, put less milk in, or more flour. But for this one, this is what we're going to do. Okay, our oven's almost up to 400 degrees. We are going to start putting our biscuits in. Just about a spoonful. You can do it with your hands. Just wet your hands. Just get them distributed in the stew. When my mom made this, the top was completely covered by biscuit. And I've tried to do the drier biscuits. It just doesn't work right in this. So now we just a few more minutes and our oven will be hot enough. Okay, 20 minutes later, we have beautiful browned biscuits and chicken stew. So let's serve it up and have a taste. Okay, chicken stew with biscuits. Now the biscuits kind of are a cross between a dumpling and a biscuit. They have the crispy outer crust, and they have the inner soft, spongy dumpling. So delicious. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon, and you will know when I put up a new video. I do put up videos once a week. I also have an Instagram, and I will put up a notice of what's coming up next on my Instagram. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you again soon with a new video.